There's been record snowfall at the off-grid cabin in the Lake Superior country, and I've got about 36 hours to get in and out, get the entire roof cleaned off before we get another foot of snow and then possibly rain. If we get rain on this much snow, I run the risk of losing this cabin. My name's Dave Whipple. You're watching Bush Radical. So I'm heading into the cabin to try to make sure that the roof doesn't collapse. This is the most snow this country's had in probably a decade. I got my 1985 $400 Yamaha snowmobile that I just bought, so we'll see if it makes it in. After 12 miles of dirt road and 7 miles of snowmobile track, I managed to get back into the property just fine. We'll see what we're dealing with now. Now I know there's a lot of snow in this country this time of year. Nothing prepared me for what I'm looking at here with the cabin. There's a solid 4 foot of snow on the backside of this roof. Well, luckily there's nothing wrong with the woodshed and everything has slid off the back. Time to get the snow shovel and start cleaning things off. Doesn't seem to be as much on the porch, but the backside of the roof is just insane. Now I've got about 45 minutes until it gets dark, so I'm going to clean up this front porch, get things tidied up and put away in the cabin, and settle in for the night. I've got to get that off the roof. That is heavy, heavy, wet snow. Tomorrow's supposed to be almost 40 degrees, so the snow's going to settle even farther. Well, tonight I think I'm just going to sit on the porch. It's so quiet out here. Then in the morning, we'll get up on the roof and tackle that snow. Inside of the cabin is just the way I left it this fall. Everything looks pretty good. I brought in a little power station so I've got lights. Put a fire in the stove and we're all set to go. Now this close to Lake Superior, we get a ton of snow. And that means it's generally not sunny. It's generally overcast because it's snowing. But today is a bluebird day. Clear skies, bright sunshine, warm, just amazing. Perfect day to get up on the roof and get it shoveled off. Now, I've only had to shovel this roof one other time. A couple of years back, we had a really heavy snow winter, but the last few years have been really mild. But this year's special. Not only is it record snowfall in this area, but we're almost into March. Another couple days, it's going to be March. And at that point, things are going to warm up. And when we have this much snow this late in the wintertime, there's a very real possibility that the next big dump is not going to be snow, it's going to be rain. And in fact, there is a half an inch of rain in the forecast. Back of this woodshed is about 6 feet high at the edge of the roof metal. And you can see how that snow has just slid off of there and folded up on itself. Kind of a artistic sculpture. Not one that's going to last, but it's something to look at, that's for sure. This piece of ice looks like a grumpy face with a runny nose. It's sure a relief to see that woodshed held the snow just fine, and the day is absolutely perfect for the work that needs to get done. Other than the snow being stuck on the roof of the cabin, everything else looks like it's weathered the winter quite well. Front porch doesn't seem to have a ton of snow on it, maybe 3 feet. But it's a lot deeper on the back side of the cabin. Now this is an interesting sight. You can see from the fire I had last night how it's melted out this snow sculpture around the chimney stack. That is super cool. The cabin is sturdy and it's holding the weight just fine. But if we were to get an inch of rain, the rain wouldn't shed off the roof. The rain would just saturate the snow. And then what's a couple thousand pounds of snow might be 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of snow. So the game plan is to wallow down through the snow and get my ladder. Now I'm 6'2", so that's a really good scale demonstration of how much snow we're actually talking about. And if it all decided to slide off right now, no one would find me until the spring. The idea here is I'm not going to be able to climb on top of this snow. I'm going to have to establish an attack route and work my way into the snowpack. Well, ain't gonna need all this stuff when I start shoveling. It's probably gonna take me all afternoon to get rid of it. It's definitely not gonna be fun, but it can't stay up there. All right, let's see how deep the snow really is. 4 foot, 48 inches deep from the top to the roof. Dang. Here I am standing on the roof. Finally up on the roof. Let's see if I can go find another shovel. You get down in that snow just a little ways, you start running into layers of ice. And it's just killing me to get through that stuff. Keep at it. Well, not bad for an afternoon's work. Looks like I made some more work for myself. I've basically buried my own porch. We'll call it a day. Now, unfortunately, the cabin is not the only thing that's snowed in. The outhouse is also snowed in. So you got to plan ahead because you're going to have to dig it out. Now, in hindsight, if you're going to be spending any time up here in the winter, it would have been smarter for me probably to make the door open inward. This outhouse is the very first building that was ever built on this property. And, of course, it is the most important. It's a good thing to see that it survived the winter. It would be a pretty heartbreaking thing to show up at the outhouse when you need the outhouse and find out the roof had collapsed and the whole thing was full of snow. Well, so much for that blue ribbon weather. It's back to snowing again. Time for a nice big hearty breakfast, some coffee, and we'll get back at that roof. Now, for the last 2 nights, one of the things that's occupied most of my time is making water. Being that I snowmobiled in here for a couple days, I didn't really have the ability to bring 5 gallons of water in a big jug. It's a long snowmobile trip on really rough trails, so I figured I would just melt down my water when I got here. Now, I melt my water in this coffee pot on the stove inside the house, the wood stove, and it takes about an hour and a half to melt enough snow to fill a gallon jug and to fill my blue water bottle. The eggs you see on the counter, they were from a hunting trip in November. They're frozen and broken, so they're no good. I've basically been living on Outhouse packaged food for the last couple days. It's freeze-dried and it doesn't weigh anything, so it's really easy to get in here if you're traveling light. But it sure is good to have something sweet. I do have pancake mix and flour, so I'm looking forward to a pancake breakfast after a couple days of salty, freeze-dried food. Being that it's this cold outside, I chuck both the pancakes back in the pan to make sure they're good and hot, and the butter melts. Oh, almost a disaster. Oh, that's good. I used to love pancakes, but I honestly haven't ate pancakes in quite a long time. I try to not eat too much crap anymore, but pancake mix and syrup and butter are kind of the only things in the cabin right now. I'm down to one last Outhouse meal, and then after that I'll be like eating crackers. So, pancakes. Oh man. Where have you been, baby? That is so good. And the other thing is, I really don't have anything here at the cabin that's sweet. You know, after a couple days of salty food, something like this really hits the spot. I'm amazed too, because that pancake mix has been in this cabin, I don't know, 4 years probably. So's the syrup. Had some coffee, had some breakfast. Sat around listening to the radio for just a little bit and I fell back asleep. And then I woke up to this massive sound. Just and I thought, oh my goodness. All that snow, that mountain of snow that was still left on the roof came off. But it didn't. let me show you what I found. Look at this. That snow came off and bent this tree backwards. Just beyond it, you can see the ladder that was leaning up against the roof. It stood it straight up. Those two thin spruce trees are the only thing keeping the snow on the roof now. I thought I would probably still have about a half a day shoveling to get it all off. But it's warm enough outdoors and it's warm enough inside the cabin. It's all ready to slide. That's 18 feet long, just this great big snow and ice shelf. And it's sticking out beyond the roof, probably 6 feet. So I think I'm just gonna start busting it off and hopefully it'll clear itself off the roof. Honestly, I think if you just sneezed at it, it would come off there. Wow, look at that. I don't know that I'm getting my ladder out of there anytime soon. Nope, that ain't happening. Even from where I'm standing, this snow's 7, 8 feet high. I think it's real obvious those two trees are just like a trigger. All you got to do is clear a little bit of snow and let that mass start sliding, and it's all going to come off there. So we'll just chip away at it and see what happens. Wow, what a giant mess back here. But at least the majority of the weight is off that roof. There's still 2 feet of snow on the roof right there. It'll slide off at some point, but it ain't gonna do it now. I think that's it for shoveling. I can't really, there's not a spot to put any more snow. You can't get it to come off because there's a pile all the way up to the eave. And that's 90% of the weight anyway, so I think we're good. Wow. All afternoon, any snow that was left on the porch has slid off the edge of the porch, down onto the pile, and then back onto this deck. Seems like this is the third or fourth time I've had to shovel it off. Years ago, we lived in Delta Junction, Alaska, and usually it would be about 15 to 20 inches of snow on the ground per winter. And that would be about all you'd get. About 4 years ago, they got 3 feet of snow up there. And then they got about 3 or 4 inches of rain. And it collapsed buildings all through the area. Even the IGA grocery store collapsed. The possibility that that could have happened here in the Lake Superior country is very, very real. With this much snow and then a heavy rain, well, you can expect buildings to fail. Just too much weight. But we're in good shape now. Time to get turned around for the morning. Get out of here before the weather gets too bad. This time of year, this part of the country is desolate. There's not another living person for 10 miles in any direction of where I'm at. So it's just a solitary existence out here. On a busy weekend, you'll hear snow machiners far off in the distance. But it's kind of about as far away as you can get from the rest of the world. So it's kind of an odyssey of a trip to get in here by yourself. Spend a few days just living in the snow. How's that for you? Nice stack of hot pancakes. You can eat them in a snowbank by a Coleman lantern. Not bad. Very soon the cold weather's going to break and then the snow is going to fall apart. And with 3 feet of rotten snow, there will be no way to get back in here until the snow's gone. So this is going to be my last trip for this time of year. I'll have to say goodbye to the cabin until spring. But it sure has been nice to get up here. It's been nice to get that weight not only off the roof, but off my mind too. Thank you guys for coming along with me. My name's Dave Whipple, and you've been watching Bush Radical. Be radical, eh? See you soon.